ever really thought about what keeps you safe in a hospital? I mean, beyond the amazing doctors and nurses? Well, today we're pulling back the curtain on the unseen guardians, the people working tirelessly behind the scenes to protect every single patient.
Look, we walk into a hospital and we put our trust in them to make us better. But what about the risks we can't see? There's this whole hidden world of potential dangers, from medication errors to silent infections. So the real question is, who's got your back? Let's dive in.
All right, so to really appreciate these modern-day guardians, we first need to understand the enemy. And this is an enemy that has gotten smarter and more complex right alongside medicine itself.
Just look at this timeline. You can see this crazy pattern, can't you? We solve one problem and a new, trickier one pops up. At first, it was just about basic cleanliness. Then boom, we realize hand washing's a total game changer. But then come antibiotics, miracle drugs for sure. But guess what? They also led to brand new problems like huge infection outbreaks. So what do? We create formal infection control programs. But the fight wasn't over. By the 80s, we're battling drug-resistant superbugs in the ICU. And today, patient safety is a massive, multi-billion-dollar issue that's woven into the very fabric of our healthcare system. This picture really says it all, doesn't it? On one side, you have these old-school, almost barbaric-looking surgical tools. The danger there is pretty obvious. But on the other side, a modern IV. It looks clean, precise, life-saving. But here's the kicker. That little tube is also a direct highway for germs to get right into your bloodstream. The takeaway here is that the more advanced our medicine gets, the more creative the risks become. So with new and improved threats, we absolutely needed a new and improved protector. Enter what you could call the hospital's immune system. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Hospital pharmacoepidemiology is a total mouthful. But don't worry, the idea behind it is actually pretty straightforward. Just think of these people as disease detectives, but for hospitals. They're the ones connecting the dots, spotting the patterns, and figuring out why things are going wrong. Whether it's a weird medication side effect or a sudden infection outbreak, they are on the case, making sure your hospital stay is as safe as it can possibly be. Their mission, when you boil it all down to, is simple but incredibly powerful. It's a three-step dance. Find the problem, figure out why it's happening, and then stop it in its tracks before it can hurt anyone. It's all about being proactive, not just reactive. Think about a modern hospital. It's kind of like a super busy airport, right? You've got things happening everywhere, thousands of people rushing around, and a million tiny things that could go wrong at any second. Now imagine that airport is also full of people who are sick, vulnerable, and relying on you completely to keep them safe. That's the reality of a modern hospital. And that's exactly why these guardians are so essential. So, if these folks are the hospital's disease detectives, what exactly is in their toolkit? What kind of gear are they using to solve these cases? Let's take a look. Yeah, this isn't a one-person job. This is a full-blown operation. These guardians are the ones constantly watching for infections. They're the first to sound the alarm when an outbreak might be starting. And they literally write the rulebook on how to keep everyone safe. On top of that, they train the entire staff and make sure everyone's playing from the same playbook. It is a massive undertaking, but it's all in a day's work for these unsung heroes. One of their most powerful tools is surveillance. You know, it's almost like having a crystal ball that can see the future. By collecting and analyzing tons of data, they can see trends and patterns that nobody else would ever notice. They can spot a new superbug before it gets a chance to spread, or a tiny spike in infections before it becomes a full-blown crisis. It's all about staying one step ahead of the bad guys. And all that data, all that surveillance, it has to lead somewhere, right? It leads to action. And that action often looks like this: a policy. This isolation sign is the perfect example. It is so much more than a piece of paper on a door. It's like a force field that protects everyone in the hospital. Without clear, written rules like this, one contagious patient could accidentally trigger a huge outbreak. That's why these policies are so incredibly critical. You know that old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink? Well, it's kind of the same thing with hospital safety. You can have the best, smartest policies in the world, but if nobody follows them, they're completely useless. That's why education, continuous education, is so important. It's about making sure everyone, from the top surgeon to the newest staff member, is on the same page and knows exactly what they need to do to keep you safe. So they've got the tools, and they've got the knowledge, but that's really only half the battle. To be truly effective, these guardians need to be part of a larger system. You could call it a fortress of safety. Now this right here, this is a game changer.
The infection control team doesn't answer to the surgery department or the cardiology department. No, they report directly to the top dogs, the hospital administration. And why is that so important? Because it gives them the independence and the authority to make the tough calls without worrying about politics or pressure. Their only loyalty is to patient safety, period. And they're not going it alone. They've got backup. It's called the Infection Control Committee, and it's basically like the Avengers of hospital safety. You've got a team of experts from all over the hospital, all coming together to make sure the safety program is actually working, that everyone is following the rules, and that the hospital is a safe place for everybody, patients and staff included. But at the end of the day, it's not really about org charts or committees, it's about people. This quote says it all. Real strength comes from everyone working together. When every single person in that hospital, from the CEO down to the person cleaning the floors, is committed to keeping you safe, that's when the magic happens. That's when that fortress of safety becomes truly impenetrable. And that brings us right to the heart of it all, the people. Because when it's all said and done, all the policies and all the procedures in the world don't mean a thing without the dedicated men and women who make it all happen every single day. Take a look at this number, 1 to 250. That's the recommended ratio of infection control professionals to hospital beds. One person, 250 patients. Just let that sink in for a moment. That is a staggering responsibility, and it's exactly why a team approach isn't just a nice idea, it's an absolute necessity. So what's the secret sauce? What really makes a good infection control program great? Well, decades of research have given us a pretty clear 4-part recipe for success. You need a dedicated team, a strong leader who knows their stuff, a powerful data system, and the willingness to actually step in and take action. It's like the Fantastic Four of patient safety. From the basics of hand washing to fighting off terrifying superbugs, these unseen guardians have been on the front lines of patient safety for decades. But the battle is so far from over. As our medicine keeps advancing, you can bet the threats will too. So the real question is, what's next? What new challenges are lurking just around the corner? And who's going to be there to protect us when they show up?